Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and in today's bass guitar lesson I'm going to show you 5 ways you can supercharge your bass guitar tone using absolutely zero effects. If this sounds good, make sure you check out this lesson all the way to the end. Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar.com, and in today's bass guitar lesson I want to show you 5 ways that you can supercharge your bass guitar tone using absolutely zero effects. I don't think I've ever met a bass guitar player in this world which isn't on that eternal quest to improve their bass tone, myself included. But one of the things I see time and time again with my students over at eBassGuitar.com is when they want to start improving their bass guitar tone, they always start looking towards effects processes. But the one thing I always pull them back to is what sounds can you get out of your hands, because the reality is 95% of the time I don't use any bass guitar effects whatsoever. So I want to show you the 5 ways that I start varying my bass guitar tone today. So first of all, let's give you a taster of what we're going to cover today. So guys, just before we hit the lesson content today, I want to tell you about a brand new resource we just released over at eBassGuitar.com, and it's completely free. It's called the Bass Player's Action Pack. This is a set of custom lessons that I put together which will teach you all of the most important skills beginner to intermediate bass guitar players need, from improving your tone to improving your technique through to learning walking bass and how to learn your favorite songs too. It's all in the Bass Player's Action Pack, and you can grab your free copy today. There's a link in the description below. So the reality of the situation is there is an extraordinary amount of tonal options you can get just using your plucking and your fretting hand before you even touch a single bass guitar effect. So I want to take you through my 5 favorite ways that I use to change my bass guitar tone. So the first one, and this is my all-time favorite, is varying the plucking hand position between the fingerboard and the bridge, because there's an amazing amount of different options there. Because what you'll discover is there is a really fat, warm sound down here if we play nearer the fingerboard, like that. But if we move it back to the bridge, we get a much punchier sound down here. So I'm sure you can hear the difference there. So what I would love you to do is start off at the neck and then gradually just go down to the bridge like that. Play the same intensity to begin with, and you'll hear how the tonal options change. So what I tend to do when I'm playing is, when I'm playing slower passages, I would tend to play down here a little bit more towards the fingerboard, because that will give me a fatter, rounder sound. But when I want to play punchier, faster phrases, I move down to the nearer the bridge here, because it's much easier to get the speed because the string is vibrating less, like that. In reality, often how I use this is that I will play the groove somewhere around the pickup here in the middle, and when I want to play a faster fill, I will move back towards the bridge. So that's what I'm going to demonstrate here for you now. So with everything we're playing today, we have this lav mic on here which is picking up my voice. So what I'm going to do is, for the demonstration, is that's going to get turned off, and we're going to isolate the bass. And so we're going to play a few bars of bass just by themselves, and then we're going to integrate the drum track so you can really hear the bass guitar tone in isolation and in context with the drums. And I also encourage you to put a pair of headphones on so you can really get laser focused on the bass guitar tone. So the first way to vary your tone is to vary where you're plucking between the neck and the bridge. The next way I vary my tone is to change the intensity which I'm striking the string with my plucking hand. There's a huge amount of tonal difference between playing quietly and playing loudly. It's almost like you can get this slightly choked sound if you play really hard, which is what I often use. So let's just demonstrate this in one position. We'll do it directly over the neck pick up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play really quietly like this, and then I'm going to play really loudly, and you can hear we can go from this, and you can almost get a lot of fret clank in there too, which can be a great sound which I often use too. One of the ways I often use this particular tonal sort of technique is that I will be playing quietly like this, and then I'll often get certain notes to pop out. So little accents like that, and that can be really super effective to put dynamics and interest into your playing. So let me show you what this concept sounds like in context. So the first two ways we discussed are specifically for the plucking hand. The next one is for the fretting hand. What you'll discover is the fretboard has very different tonal characteristics where you choose to play specific notes. If you choose to play a riff or a bass line using the open positions down here or the lower frets, you'll find it has a much punchier sound. If you choose to play further up the neck, it has a much mellower sound. So let me demonstrate. Let's take this kind of bluesy bass line and play it in 3 different positions. So that's in the upper register. Let's move it into the middle register. And then we can move it down into the lower register. So as you can hear, they have a totally different sound to it, and it's your choice where you choose to play. Incidentally, more recently, I've been choosing to experiment much more with the upper registers because I really like that fatter, warmer sound. So let's hear what changing the register or the position you're playing in the notes sounds like in context. So guys, if you're enjoying this lesson, I would love it if you could jump over to eBassGuitar.com and check out the Bass Lab Plus. The Bass Lab Plus is a full step-by-step program designed especially for the beginner to intermediate bass guitar player, which teaches you everything from playing your very first notes all the way through to learning full songs, walking bass, and all of the skills you need to play at a jam session, join a band, even rock out in the worship team on a Sunday morning. So if you'd like to check out the Bass Lab Plus, there's a link in the description below where you can join free with a 14-day trial. So the reality is, if you combine the 3 ways I've shown you to change your bass guitar tone today, you already have an extraordinary amount of options. So next up, I want to show you the 4th way that I change my bass guitar tone, and that is muting. And generally I will use plucking hand muting. It's actually possible to mute with your left hand too if you want to check out players like Francis Rocco Prestia from Tower of power. But what I like to do is use my thumb like this. This is often called thumb muting as well. And it's very simple and straightforward. All you need to do is rest your thumb on the strings like that, nearest the bridge to begin with, and then pluck the note with your thumb like this. And what you find is it has a much more muted or deader sound to it. So you go from that to this. And it has a totally different flavor to it. I tend to use it where the band is less busy and the basses can be more kind of exposed in the mix, so the real thumb sound can shine through. But let's show you what this sounds like in context. So the fifth and final way I'm going to show you how to vary your bass guitar tone is by using the pickups and the tone controls on the bass guitar. Now, the majority of instruments tend to have two pickups, and many of the basses out there, particularly if you've got a Fender inspired instrument, has a passive tone control. And there's a lot of options just in here too. So I'm just going to show you this to kind of get some ideas flowing how you could use this. So I'm going to take it to the extreme to begin with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it on to the neck pickup here, which is a P bass pickup, and you're going to hear it there, and you get that P bass tone, which is quite fat and clanky like that. Then I'm going to roll off the top end control here, which is going to give it a much more retro sound. Because it's much more bassy now, and this has a certain flavor to it. A much more old school type of sound. But let's take it the other way and take it on to the bridge pickup like that, and turn the passive tone control up full. And you have that really punchy sound like you would have heard Jacko play in the 70s. And I use all of these options when I play, combined with moving my hand and the different hand positions and position changes that I do with my left hand here. So there's a lot of options just using these 5 different ways, and absolutely everything I've done in this lesson too is in passive mode on the bass, so there's absolutely no EQ added. So in this last demonstration, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that old school kind of P bass sound with the tone rolled off and play that first, and then I'm going to switch to the more punchy Jacko inspired sound, so you can hear the tonal range that you can get out of a standard sort of passive Fender inspired bass. So guys, that's the end of today's bass guitar lesson. If you've enjoyed this lesson, make sure you download my free Bass Players Action Pack, where you can start learning all of the most important skills beginner to intermediate guitar players need, completely free. There's a link in the description below. Also, if you're looking to seriously push your bass guitar playing forward and want a full program to take you right from playing your very first notes all the way through to learning all of the skills you need to do to join a band or rock out to your favorite tracks at home on YouTube, make sure you check out the Bass Lab Plus over at eBassGuitar.com. There's a link in the description below where you can join free with a 14-day trial. Cheers, I've been James from eBassGuitar.com, and I'll catch you next time.